All right, this is Khaliq Glover, also known as Khaliq-O-Vision, and I'm back again with somebody asking me these questions over and over again. So I thought this would be helpful for you. Okay, one of the things that I always get asked over and over again is how can I get my vocals to sit properly in the mix? And that's a big, big one. So let me give you a couple things that might help you, okay? So one of the things that I say is start out mixing vocals first. Vocals and drums, I'll say. Vocal is king, is like they usually say. So I used to start out with the drums and then get the track all big and guitars and everything else. And then by the time I start trying to work the vocal in, there just wasn't any room. So try reverse engineering that practice. If you know the vocal is the star, start out with the vocal first, and you don't have to obsess over it, but you get it in a basic area and you build everything else around the vocal so that you can start hearing it as you're building. If you start losing the vocal, then you know you're doing too much or whatever you're doing. And that's why I say the vocals and drums. If you get the vocals happening and then you get the drums happening where they're holding it and you can listen to just those two things, it sounds like, yeah, this is rocking, this is going to be good. Then they're in a good place. Then you start filling in the other stuff behind it. It'll start coming together a lot better. And if it doesn't, if it starts filling up and crowding up too much and losing something and you start losing your vocals, then rethink what you're doing and back up again and say, okay, I had it when it's just those vocals and drums, so let me figure out what I need to do to get that back. Put the one thing in at a time, and then if it starts killing the groove, back it out, try different levels, little things like that. Okay, and the next part of that is when you're doing and starting out with that as well, look at your vocal dynamics. This comes at in two ways. Luckily, we're on a DAW, so we can actually look at it. And I said look, I'm using it interchangeably with listen. You always listen first, but also use the waveforms that you see on there to confirm what you're hearing. If you hear the vocal going up and down in level a lot, loud, hard attacking things, then whisper soft or quiet things, or some things where the performance and the words get lost or they're chewing on their words or whatever. Those little things you may have to enhance. You may have to go in and do edits. You may have to use compression to bring everybody a little closer together, and whatever it takes, you've really got to pay attention by examining what's actually happening in the vocal rather than just throwing something on without really listening, because more your time is better spent to actually possibly even going in and editing, adjusting waveforms and matching levels and things like that. I'll go in and do a lot of that rather than just trying to put on one big blanket solution on that covers it all. Sometimes that works, but many times you have to do a little bit more. Okay, then the next part is when you're using compressors, you need to have compressors on vocals. They should have been on when they were being recorded, but if they weren't, if the vocal's still kind of all over the place, it's up to you to control it so that you can hear it all the way through the song in a consistent level manner. It's going to have dynamics, peaks and valleys and everything, but overall you can still pretty much hear everything. So use one thing that I learned is there was no rule against using more than one compressor. You can use them for different things, in different types. Some compressors can have a smoother sound and tonal quality to them. They can round off certain things or deal with the envelope and change it how it is. Other things can capture the attack, and some of those things that jump out, they can catch that, and then maybe trying to use that to catch it, you don't want it to squeeze down too much and work all the time on things. Maybe you just want it to slightly catch something, so you might use one compressor that's barely doing anything other than controlling the attack end, and then another one that's controlling the rest of the shape and the envelope of the rest of the sound. You can use more than one. I didn't even realize that obvious thing for a long time. And then the other thing you can do is mix sections of the song and use automation. Listen to different sections, the verse, the chorus, the bridge and everything. Bounce back and forth, go to the power part of the song and see it, be sure the vocal stands out there, and then go back to a softer part and be sure that they sound kind of consistent and building up to where it's going on. And use your automation. Don't lock it in too early, but once you got it in a good place and everything, then use the automation to anything parts that are getting lost, you can put that in there, you know, and using VCAs and combinations of things like that to help you manage big sessions will be very helpful. Then the final thing that I say is test out listening to your vocal and your whole mix and performance on at a low level, and you do it on some of these things like I got back here. I've got my Ref Tones by Dave Hampton, and or Aura Tones, or up top I've got the Avantones, and I've got a lot of different things to listen on. You know, if you have a way to send it to this puppy, send it to your iPhone or whatever. You know, I even have a boom box over in the corner that I kept from the 80s and 90s or whenever it was. So there's a lot of different ways you can reference things to be sure that your vocal is heard in all ways. You know, your computer speakers built into your laptop and things like that. Just you want to be sure that your vocal is king and can be heard in all instances. It'll sit perfectly, along with not being too loud, so that you don't hear just the vocal and the music gets swallowed up as well. So it's a balance. But once you master that, you're going to be so happy. It's one of the things that once I got that concept down, it gives me the most satisfaction. So practice those things and they'll keep you on point with making sure that you're checking what you're doing. This is Khaliq Glover from mixingacademy.com. Go ahead and sign up at Mixing Academy for your free silver membership, where you can go in and find more tips like this. And there's a lot of other things that are in there that you can see, and a lot of good stuff. It's a free access in there. And then if you want to take it further than that, you'll see once you get in there that there's a lot to be seen inside. So go to mixingacademy.com and join up. It's free. Catch you later.